Good evening. Welcome. Welcome to Root Community Support Initiative, a program from Root Living Ministry. This afternoon with Maria Martinez, the director from the program, and Joanne from NAMI. Okay, we're here today because we want to bring a little bit information to the community, um, the Northern East community, especially about NAMI and what Ruth is doing here in Monroe County, and how NAMI can help um, family, parents, and even um, people who have mental health or mental ill right now diagnostic, and that's why we're here today. We're here today to bring awareness, especially in the month of October, that is the month of mental health awareness. And definitely awareness means that we open the doors so people have knowledge, understanding of different kinds of sickness that we are encounter, especially after COVID. Many people had these symptoms, many people had problem with anxiety, they feel depressed, and it's hard to find somebody to talk to understand what you're going through if the person don't have the knowledge or the understanding or they went through the same situation. And basically that's why we're here today. And for those people who don't know what's NAMI is a National Alliance of Mental Health. Wow. I'm glad, I would say I'm glad, I give thanks to God that we touched door to NAMI, um, and Roots open doors so NAMI, we can work together with NAMI and bring to the community the help and the support that we need in the community. Many people in the community doesn't know where to go, and I encourage to touch door here in Roots, and we can encourage you where to go. We can tell you, hey, you can come to the support groups. Support groups are free. Meanwhile, you can continue going to your doctor, go to the psychologist, go to counselors, but we will facilitate the path so you can go through the life with the situation that you're going through. Right now, I'm happy we're gonna have a new opening in October. We're celebrating that we're gonna open connection, um, where you can come here and talk about your situation and encounter people. They are the same time and the same position that you are. Why I don't mention a lot about mental health, people understand, think if you say mental health is that you very like, oh my God, this person is, stigma. Before, I remember they used to say, oh, this person is crazy, you cannot talk about it. It's not like that. Many people, many people go through mental health and mental ill. Usually, to say it more simple, mental health is in a moment that you encounter yourself, that you don't be aware of how to take care of yourself because you overwhelmed with the things that going around you. That's the simple thing. I can give you an explanation as a doctor, but you will stay like, what's that? Simple. You need help because you cannot function completely because you overwhelmed with the situations is around you. That's mental health basically. It's like it's a physical health. You cannot take care of yourself because you're lumping or because you have any kind of other illness. So that's why we're here today. And I'm gonna pass it to Joanne so she can talk about a little bit what she's doing in NAMI and how she encountered NAMI, and we will talk about it.
Thank you, Maria. My name is Joanna Van Tyne. I'm with NAMI NEPA. Um, I have a son who is 22 years old who suffers with mental health issues. I am currently a advocator, educator, and facilitator for NAMI NEPA. I started about 2.5 years ago after attending 3 meetings out in Scranton for help and support for myself to try to figure out my son. And after 2 meetings, I knew I wanted to start this in my community. I went back to Wayne County, that's where I'm from, and I started my own mental health support group with permission of the executive director of NAMI. NEPA, and pleased to say that the group is doing well. We meet twice a month at the Lakeville Firehouse, and we're growing and expanding to the point where we are now in Pike County, over in Lords Valley twice a month. We're in Monroe County twice a month, bilingual, as well as via Zoom with Lackawanna County. And we have three new groups that just formed, which is called, like Maria said, Connections, which, mind you, the mental health support groups I was mentioning before are family mental health support groups, which is for family members. Yes, there are people there who are affected by mental illness themselves and diagnosed. However, we have this new group that just formulated called Connections, and it's just for the person who's mentally ill or has a mental health diagnosis. We have one in Scranton, we have one starting here in October in Monroe County, and we have one in Honesdale during the daytime. So if you look at the calendar, we virtually have a meeting, a support group of some kind every week for someone. Um, I do what I do for NAMI because I was struggling myself to try to understand my son and how to better help him. At 22 years of age, he was hospitalized 10 times in 6 years, and it was very frustrating for me as a parent because I kept wanting and looking for help and support, and I always felt alone, and there was nothing. And everyone kept saying, "Well, it's because of where you live. You live in rural county. Maybe if you lived more in the city, like Philadelphia." And it wasn't until I read a book by Liza Long called "The Price of Silence," and she represented like all the voices of moms of Adam Lanza. I don't know if you remember the shooter of Sandy Hook Elementary School.
Yes.
She was speaking on behalf of like all those moms who had a child who had suffered with mental health issues, and apparently Adam Lanza did. And uh, Liza's book was based on her son, 15 years old, who was going through a bunch of signs and symptoms of mental health issues. Turns out he's bipolar. And everything she was writing, I said, wow, this really resonates with what I'm going through. And it paralleled so much with my life and everything. I mean, everything to a T. That I reached out to her via LinkedIn one day after I read the book, and I said, hey, could you help me? Because I live in Pennsylvania and I need help and I can't find anything. No, the doctor can't give me any support. The psychiatrist, psychologist, there's no support groups. There's no one to talk to, and I can't even find a single parent that could talk to me. And she said, "Well, do you live near Philadelphia?" And I said, "No, I'm 3 hours away, unfortunately." She's like, "Well, Bucks County, NAMI." She says, "Look them up and see what they can do to help you." Uh, okay, so I Googled it and I reached out to Bucks, and they told me about NAMI Northeast PA, right in Scranton. And sure enough, I Googled it and I said, wow, there was something 30 minutes away from me and I never knew about it. I said, what is this, like Pennsylvania's best kept secret? Here we are, not just me, but other parents having similar problems. Here I'm thinking, my son is this little punk teenager, disrespectful. After a divorce, he's not being resilient like they tell you, there's resiliency after divorce. But it wasn't. It was his mental health starting to deteriorate and decline at a rapid rate. And once he was diagnosed, I needed help. I needed not just the support because my own family didn't understand, but I needed to learn how to help him. And I needed to learn how to help me because I was crying all the time and I wasn't taking care of me. I gained 50 pounds, not taking care of me. I was suffering with migraines. I was always anxious and never sleeping because I was always scared about what was going to happen to him. And sure enough, that's when I went to my first meeting and I just sat there and I listened and I sobbed. Went back to second meeting and did the same thing. I just sat there and I listened and I sobbed. And my daughter said, aren't you going to say anything? Because they go around the room, they introduce themselves around, the first time around. And the second time around, you're free to share and talk about whatever's off, you want to talk about. I just couldn't do it. And then finally, the third time, I went up to the executive director and I said, I need to do this for my community. She goes, what do you want to do? I said, I want to start a mental health support group.
What happened after you start the groups, going to the groups? How that help you, you and your family, in a way?
Wow, amazing question. How did it help me? Well, the second time I walked into that meeting, I knew I wasn't alone anymore, for sure, because now I walked in this room where there was this commonality. We had this commonality like no other. And not just a commonality, but I didn't feel alone anymore. It was amazing. It's like someone lifted a boulder off my shoulder. I said, I felt so comfortable with these people that by the third meeting, I found myself sharing and talking, and they gave me the floor to talk for as long as I wanted to. So I spoke within reasonable time. I didn't want to take the floor forever, but they were so understanding and so compassionate, and they got it. It's not like I had to explain anything. They understood because they've all been there, done that. And the best part I like is the group wisdom. People share what they went through. They offer suggestions and advice. Try this, try that. And as the meetings kept going forward, and continually going every 2 weeks there, I was finding out more and more. You learned constantly. You learn about different medications. What works for some may not work for others. You learn about different ways to de escalate your loved one. The things that you learn just from each other. And then you formulate friendships, which is fantastic because outside of the meeting, if you exchange phone numbers and you're having a bad day on one of those off weeks where there's no meeting, you have someone to call and talk to who gets it, who actually gets it, and who doesn't judge you, who doesn't criticize you. They get it because they've been there, done that. So that lived experience means so much. And then that lived experience turns into stories. And when you listen to their stories, they're just so insightful and so
So,
moving.
how long you been with NAMI and taking this training?
NAMI, I've been with NAMI about 3 years now. And because I wanted to be a facilitator, NAMI did send me for training to become a facilitator for a group. So I facilitate family groups. And I wanted more. And I know NAMI educates, and because I'm an educator, former educator from New Jersey, I let the director know. I said, I used to teach back in New Jersey. Is it a possibility I could teach for NAMI? And she said, absolutely. So they sent me for training again. This is all pre-COVID, mind you. So they sent me for training, and I teach the family to family class, which is an 8-week course. Used to be 12, but now it's 8 weeks, once a week for 2.5 hours. It's taught to loved ones, family members of loved ones. It teaches them how to recognize signs and symptoms of mental health issues. We talk about the various mental health diagnoses. We talk a little bit about medications, not much. We talk about crises and what do you do in a crisis. And we teach you how to respond in a crisis and help de escalate your loved one. How to talk to your loved one because, there's a big difference on how you approach your loved one and speak to them. It means a lot. And then we talk about self care, which is really important. It's a big chapter, but it's very, very important to learn how to take care of yourself while you're undergoing all this because it's very stressful times. It's not easy. No one comes with a handbook. So, it's very insightful, to say the least.
My question is, after all this year that you didn't have no help, if you compare your life before NAMI and after NAMI, your relationship with your son, especially with your son that is the one who is diagnostic, how you can say if it's been progress, it's better now, how you handle it now, what was the difference before?
100% better. Only because, and don't get me wrong, he has his hiccups. No one's perfect. Medication's not a cure all, but the way we communicate is totally different. The way I understand him, totally different. Back in the day, if someone told me this 5 years ago, if I was taught all this 5 years ago, I would have approached him totally different. And my family notices it too because I'm the only one that's trained in my house. But my other children and my husband see it now. Like how I approach him is totally different. I speak to him totally different. I don't point my finger in his face and blame him or say you. No, they're I statements. If I'm upset with something and he does something wrong, I say it that way with I instead of you. You brought the car home late last night. What's the matter with you? You don't you disrespect me. Instead, it's like, I really did not like that you came home late last night. I really became worried. I would have appreciated a phone call. You hear the difference?
Mm-hmm.
NAMI family to family taught me that. If
Great.
he's having a crisis or I see he's spiraling and I think something's wrong and he's getting hot, and when I say hot, he's getting agitated, he starts slamming something or he wants to throw something and he feels very frustrated, I tend to know how to de escalate him and calm him down and bring him back down to a calm level where I just talk normally and ask him, let's talk it out. No one taught me that back in the day. Back in the day, it was a screaming match. Who was screaming at who? And, it was just so mean spirited and mean talk. That's all I could say. And disrespectful. Neither one of us. Yeah, now it's different. It's just so different. I never even want to think about the old days. 5 years ago, to me, was a long time ago. And I just don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there. And I see so much progress in him as well as me. I have grown as his mother, and I think he has grown as well. As he's not a child anymore; he's an adult.
Um, do you think if you were getting all the help that Nami bring you now to you before when he was a teenager or a pre-teenager, you think right now thing will be better more than there is? Like, because sometimes we say the teenager year is the worst, but you didn't have no help in the teenager years.
Nope, none.
So for those parents who had pre-teenagers and teenagers, let's say, and they say I can with these kids. I has to put it in a place, or I has to go to court, or I have to do this, or I have to do that, or I feel I'm done. I'm tired already. I don't want to deal with this problem no more. It's his problem. He want to take medication. He can take medication. Many teenagers say I don't want medication. Many teenagers say I don't need it. Many teenagers doesn't understand what they're going through, why their body is changing that way,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it's a mental health situation. It's not the same thing like, oh, you're a little bit skinny or you are a little bit weight. Now you had, all your hormones all over the place. What you will tell those parents?
Don't give up, because Nami teaches you there's hope. You have to have hope, and it's the God's honest truth. There is hope. You have to have that hope because, like I said, they do have their hiccups, but you got to keep on going. You got to keep supporting your loved one, and that's big. When you show them support, it means a big difference. You have to remember that there's hope. There's other people out there, that you're not alone. All that stuff that Nami, you know, writes out there, that there's hope, and the support. You got to believe in all that, and that you're not alone. There is hope, and educate yourself, because NAMI offers free education. So take whatever courses you could take, online, in person, whatever you have to do that we have to offer, and educate yourself. You can't go wrong with educating yourself. The more you know, the better you can help. And I even went to the um, next level with NAMI. I was asked about the teaching. I said, I would do it. I was asked to teach youth mental health first aid. Now, that's not a course NAMI teaches everyone, but the National Council does. And I went through the National Council to be trained so I could teach it to other people. So whatever I gain as far as education, I give back to my community. I bring it back out and I teach people. And I advocate, obviously. But that's my goal. Is whatever I'm learning, I want other people to learn, because I don't want them to feel alone. I want them to have hope. I want to keep them supported so that they could in turn, it's almost like the domino effect, so they could go back home and support their loved one.
Yeah, usually when we talk about family structure, usually at least one person in the family had to educate themselves. This is what I'm seeing. If one person in the family educate themselves, they bring that home, and the other people at home understand what's going on. Even though they don't come, they will say, "Okay, this is why it works." And everybody start contracting, better, and men go together better, as a family, be together, support each other better.
You could only hope so.
And that's a hope that you have to have
You have to.
once you educate yourself, when you be aware what's going on with that person at home that is supposedly is not behaving properly, what we call properly, but in their mind they're doing the right thing. And a couple of days I was talking to somebody, I think it was yesterday, and I remember my daughter Cadriana, I was talking to her, and she said, I don't understand why people want somebody to behave in a way, because that's the correct way. Why I cannot behave the way I want to if I don't bother nobody? Like an example, we have this kid, and this kid don't want to sit down. He don't like to sit down. Why he has to sit down? Because I say that he has to sit down, and I explained to her, and we was talking in the conversation, and I say, wow, it's incredible, because that's one thing that I told the parents. Um, Sometimes you have to give time to the person and explain, listen, we're going to go here, we're going to sit down, you don't have to do this, but right now is the time to do it. And it feels like the person understand, but the first thing we say, oh, he want to do whatever he want to do when he's 13, 14, 15, 16. And it's like a battlefield at home. Who's the tough one, mommy and daddy or you? But we don't understand what that person going through.
It's scary. It's scary. I mean, especially in the state of Pennsylvania, when my son turned 14, they tell him, you have rights. You don't have to take the medication if you don't want to. So that was a real debate in my household. If you want to live here, you need to take your medicine. It's really simple. So when he turned 18, he told me, I'm not taking my medication anymore. And that's a struggle. That's a struggle because he knows what's good for him, and we know what's good for him, but he doesn't have to do what you want him to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has to figure it out on his own. Whether it be he spirals out of control to the point where he hits rock bottom, and I hate when people say that. Well, he just needs to hit rock bottom to figure it out, and don't worry, he'll go back on medication. Whether rock bottom means getting sick and being back in the hospital, it could mean him going to jail. And as a parent, you're on pins and needles all the time, wondering when is that shoe gonna drop, and you're constantly sick with worry. So when I used to go to group, it's something I would share and talk about because it would make me feel better, and I'd get some insight from other people, the group wisdom I'm telling you about, and just different ways of how to approach him, how to talk to him, how to support him. And it helped me tremendously.
So at the time that he was 18, you already was with Nami. You
Mm-hmm.
already was in the support group. When he told you that he didn't want to drink no more medicine, why you told him?
I wasn't with Nami when he was 18. I started when he was just about 19.
Wow.
So I went through a really rough year, almost year and a half, with him with no medication. And he thought he was fine. And it wasn't until his last hospitalization, um, they gave him a medicine that became in the form of an injectable. This is something I never knew, but lots of medications come in the form of injectables now. So because he's was a very immature adolescent, I call him, a young adult, and he didn't want to take pills 3 times a day like the doctor told him, they offered it to him in injectable form. So I thank God and I count my blessings every day that since that last hospitalization, he's been going back every month for an injection, and he stays on track that way. So these are things people have to look at. They say, oh, they get bogged down by, I can't take all that medicine. Find out from your doctor what medicines are in the form of injectables so you don't have to be popping all those pills. Maybe you don't. Maybe your medicine comes in the form of an injectable. And the other thing is there's a test now called the genocytes test. They swab your mouth and they tell you what medications work with your body and what don't. I didn't learn that until I went to NAMI. There's just so much to learn. So much to learn when you go to these meetings.
So, if, let's say an example, if right now he told you, Mom, I don't want to go take my medicine, how you handle it now? Before, you told him, you have to leave my house. Even though that he's adult, it's your son, and you want the best for him. Because other parents want the best for the kids. What you will tell him now?
That's very unfortunate. And I'm very sad to hear that because you've making some really great strides in the last year and a half. And I'd hate to see you go back to the old ways. You know, I see you as very healthy right now. You've got a lot going on for yourself, a lot of good things going your way, and I'd hate to see you revert back. Think about it. Think long and hard. And promise me that if you start feeling the slightest of anything, go see your doctor. And just keep encouraging him. And stay in touch with him. Not just encourage, but stay in touch with him. Show your support. Call and say, and we do. We talk almost on a daily basis. And I do. That's the first question I ask him is, how are you doing today? Because he told me, and he shared this, that while he was in high school, every time he was in crisis, he got suspended. Okay? He said, Ma, if they just asked me once, just once, how are you doing today, son? He says, that would have changed my attitude completely. Those couple of words, how are you doing today, would have changed him, totally turned him around, and he would have de escalated. You like that? But that was never told to him. They thought he was just a rebellious, disrespectful teenager, so they sent him to discipline. They never asked him, how are you doing today? So remember those words, how are you doing today, when you speak to someone.
It's interesting to know that because most of the time you see kids and the counselor because they're not behaving in the classroom or they out of control in the classroom, and just somebody was misbehaving because he was not feeling well, but he didn't know how to say he was not feeling well. So now the school doesn't know, mom doesn't know, dad doesn't know, nobody knows. So he's acting up all over the place, and just for a simple word,
You
how
just
you
hit it
feeling?
up. You described my son to a T just now, and that's what he told me. It's so nice to hear from him. That's very insightful too, is when you have someone who is with the mental illness come to your meetings and they start telling you about themselves and the little things that help them or hurt them, or it's just insightful to hear all that.
Um, and you see, I have the experience in my house as a wife and as a mom, and I can remember, and I'm gonna talk as a mom because we're talking about kids and Nami. I remember that when I found out that my daughter was depressed, like nobody told me she was depressed. She didn't even know that she was depressed, or maybe she knows, but she didn't know how to tell me. And for me, she was doing well. Like I saw her every day get up, get in the computer because she was at home supposedly doing work from the school. But I didn't know that she sit down in the computer. It was no work done. She was sitting there. I used to come in and out the house, work. I used to go to school. Sometimes I used to even ask her, "Can you help me over here because I don't know how to do this homework." She was a bright, very bright girl, very smart, and think about it and say, "Wow." When I go back, I say, I didn't even see those symptoms. I didn't even realize. I saw them, but I didn't realize because I didn't know when the kids say, I don't want to go no more to school, or when they say, I'm not hungry, or when they say simple things like that constantly. And when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about one day. I'm constantly behavior. Like, or if it's a girl, I feel that my menstruation is very heavy. I cannot get up. I'm in pain. And I remember I used to say, here, drink two Tylenol. You're going to feel better. I didn't know that she was going through her emotions and feelings in that moment. Or when she was crying, why you crying? She said, because I have my menstruation, I feel sad. I didn't know that she was going through all these things, and I just let it rack until one day I received a call from the school, and they told me, well, Kariana is, she's not gonna graduate. She missing so many days from school, and I'm like, mm. And at that moment, I was, no, this is not happening to me. But when I went in and I opened the door from the room, I just look at her, and my mind say, wow, I was in school already, and I was taking so many psychology courses and all these things to be a family worker. And I just look at her and say, okay, this is your first client. Let's go. You have to do it. And I just close the door and I say, how am I gonna approach this girl now? And say, hey, I know you're not okay. Let's talk about it. And the first thing that I say is, let me ask her if she need help in the school. And I remember I said, do you need help in the school? And they just called me. And I remember they said, you had 3 days, Kariana. We have to do this so you can graduate. And I remember sit down with her until 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning for 3 days with her. And I was not doing nothing, but I was sitting there. But I think that's when I realized, I said, oh my God, I missed the step here. I was so involved with everything around me that I didn't even look that time that she was crying. It was not crying because she had, okay, I'm feeling sad because, oh, I'm in pain. And that's what bring me to go to, oh my God, I need to tell the other parents. Don't, just don't look like, oh, that's a normal behavior. It's not such a thing no more as a normal behavior.
Right.
It's something more there. Just look the way to talk about it. And I didn't went, thank God he has to go to psychologists and all these things with her. But I was very patient, and my hope was that I can do what I had to do. And we went together, and she did the work, she submitted, and now I say that, hey, now you have to pray that God, they say you pass. I can do nothing about it. We did what we're supposed to do. I didn't went and scream and fight. I think before that I was more educated, aware of what was mental health, I will do that. I will be screaming, hitting, throwing all my life as a parent. That's what we know. And but that time was different for me. It was like, no, I have to be compassionate with her. And then later on, she started talking and say, hey, I've been going through this. This is what I've been feeling. And years went by, and sometimes she didn't say nothing for 6 or 7 months. But I noticed already. She didn't have to say. Now I noticed when she was in the room reading, it was that she was just not reading. I was so proud because I used to say, oh my God, she's read 3 books a night. No. Totally confused. Now when I see that she was in the room, that she was just reading, I used to go to her and say, hey, you okay today? What's going on? And she used to talk, and we was do like, and then a couple of hours later, she was in the kitchen doing something that she liked. And I think that's something that bring me to say, hey, I have to go to get, I have to help other parents. I have to let them know it's hope.
Yes.
And that hope is there. It's just when you see the cloud is big, the hope make you the clouds be clear. That's the way I see it now.
True.
After now, I always looking, forward. If still now, she married, she left. I know when she's not in the good mood, like I say, what happened? So I can understand. The more they be aware symptoms, educate myself. What is depression? What's anxiety? What is PTSD? What is all these things? I say, oh my God, I have to go back, and now I have to go this way and this road, and it's like a tree that have a lot of roots.
Right.
So that's the way I've been doing it as a parent now. Um, what you will encourage other parents? They had the same situation that you and me have right now.
Go to a meeting. Learn what resources are in your community. If you can't learn what resources are in your community, go to a meeting because we have them available. At least I know in the northeast corner we do because we're putting it out there. We're no longer, it's not quiet anymore. Especially after this COVID, we have people coming out that never experienced anxiety or depression in their lives. They may not be officially diagnosed, or on medication from a doctor, but they know what they feel, and they want they want support. They want to know that they're not alone. They want to know there's hope for themselves out there to get better, and especially for their kids. Um, Ask your kids, talk to your kids. That's the best advice I have is talk to your kids on a daily. Engage with them. Know who their friends are. Know who they hang out with and what they're doing. Keep them busy. Busy's good. Good busy though, like sports and activities. But knowing who their friends are too is very important. And talk to them. Just ask them every day, how was your day? How are you doing? Try to eat dinner together or at least one meal together. I think that means a lot. If you're spiritual and you worship, go to church together or worship together. There's a lot of things you could do as parents. Even if you're a single parent, you can do it. And if you need encouragement or any guidance or help, NAMI's there to help you. And we have a whole bunch of resources. Like I said, I can't tell you enough how many resources there are out there. And if you even go online and take something as simple as NAMI Basics that starts to introduce you on how to help your children, it's free. You can't beat it.
Um, Another thing that we Roots Living Ministry is offering the groups here. We're doing through Zoom too. I encourage people to touch the door, even if you're not English speaking. If you know somebody who go through this, just pass the information. It's so important. Many times people ask me, this. If I don't know, I say, okay, give me a couple of days. I will find out for you. I know you understand that over here in Monroe County, and I'm going to talk about Monroe County, it's been, I think, more than 3 or 4 years they don't have NAMI groups. Um, and now we have it, and I encourage everybody who listening to this to let them know, hey, Root Living Ministry have the NAMI groups. We're working together to bring that awareness to the Monroe County right now. I know it's a need. I know it's hard to say that you have that needs because the stigma that we have, um, but we're here, and that's why we're here. We're here to break the stigma, to understand what you're going through, to give that hope and help you go through the path. So I would say, Joanne, something else do you want to say to the community?
Absolutely. Just know that we're here for you through Wayne County, Pike County, Monroe County, Lackawanna County, and hopefully soon we'll be in Susquehanna.
Hey, I would say thank you for enjoying us tonight. Have a blessed, blessed, blessed night.
Can I give you our website?
Yes.
If you want more information on NAMI, you can go to NAMI NEPA. That's NAMINEPA.org. Or you could call our office in Scranton, which is 570-342-1047. Thank you. And thank you, Maria.
Hey, you're welcome. And really, thank you to be with us today and share.
My pleasure.
Um, Also, if you need more information, you can go to info@rootlivingministry.org. You can find us on Facebook as Root Living Ministry. Thank you.